This week, with warm weather just around the corner and students looking for work, find out what it takes to start up a summer company.
If you enjoy doing it, you'll have a lot of fun. Just be prepared for all the work that you're going to have to do.
And a homegrown Canadian baseball player is making a name for himself across the country and south of the border.
Team Canada actually gave me a lot of exposure just getting drafted in itself.
Plus, the region's airport is at risk of losing another chartered airline.
We've been working with Nolinor Airlines and their client on a compromise.
I'm Candace Cobbing.
And I'm Steve Spar. And this is Spoke TV, your source for local weekly news produced by second-year journalism broadcast students from Conestoga College.
The Bearskin Airlines route between Waterloo and Ottawa has recently been eliminated from Waterloo Regional Airport. Now it looks like another airline may be on the chopping block. Steve Rosinski explores the options that are still on the table for the region.
The region of Waterloo International Airport could be at risk of losing one of its charter flights in the near future. Arctic Charter Nolinor had its flights start just last fall, but noise complaints from local residents have skyrocketed, prompting an airport noise committee to be created. If the airport does lose another charter flight, it could come as a heavy blow, as they've recently lost Bearskin flights to Ottawa, which will end up costing them nearly $400,000 annually. Airport General Manager Chris Wood feels the steps currently being taken will keep Nolinor from leaving.
Well, we've been working with Nolinor Airlines and their client on a compromise to some of the concerns that some of the residents have. We believe we've come up with one that they're working through their logistics of making the change from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Nicholas Adamick, a student at Conestoga College studying aviation, expresses his concern about how it could affect the future job market.
But with Bearskin leaving, that's kind of your starting position in the airlines. It's your typical airplane that you start on. So with them leaving as well as Nolinor leaving, it kind of creates like a gap in the industry.
The committee has indicated they would consider a Cambridge flight path instead, but a formal decision will not happen until next June. For Spoke TV, I'm Steve Rosinski.
Guelph drivers need to slow down even more in school zones. A 4-year plan has been finalized by Guelph City Council to lower school zone speed limit. Molly Mercier has the details.
Guelph Police will be keeping an eye out for heavy-footed drivers in school zones as the speed limits around the city are set to be lowered this month. The new speed limits will change high-traffic main roads speed to 40 from the current 50, and the smaller zones will be changed as well. The current school speed limit sits at 40 kilometers per hour and will be going down to 30. The idea has been in motion for the past 4 years at the Guelph City Council after parents began to complain about speeding cars. Councilman Ian Finley explains.
That we're having problems, particularly with students getting back and forth across busy streets. So that was the main driver, was parents letting us know, city council know, the city know that there were issues with speed in the school zones.
Constable Mike Gatto says not only is there concern in school zones, speeding is a regular issue for police all around the city of Guelph.
In any city is a concern everywhere. It just becomes heightened in school zones, obviously, because we now have a situation where we have young children crossing roadways or even just walking near roadways. So they're at a heightened risk. So road safety in those areas are a huge concern, always have been, always will be. So is it a concern specifically that people drive faster in those areas? No, it's the fact that people drive faster everywhere.
For Spoke TV, I'm Molly Mercier.
It's been a busy time for a local smartphone maker who is breaking ties with a U.S. provider and looking into the next quarter. BlackBerry is making headlines again lately as they announce plans to sever their partnership with T-Mobile when their deal expires later this month. They haven't said what caused the split, but it does mean that they will not renew their license for the U.S. provider to sell their devices upon expiry of their current deal. This comes after BlackBerry reported a loss of $423 million in the fourth quarter. Although great, this number is a substantial improvement over BlackBerry's multi-billion-dollar loss in the third quarter, leaving many tech analysts to suggest that within the next fiscal year, the local smartphone maker may be out of the red and back into the black.
Up next, Find out why some local high school students chose to spend their Friday night sleeping in tents outside in the cold. Homelessness is an issue that is not always apparent. Amari Nicolau joined some local teenagers who camped out in the courtyard of Cambridge City Hall. Students spent 24 hours out in the cold to help raise awareness about this issue.
Grade 9 to 12 students decided to experience a day in the life of the homeless as part of an event called Into the Cold.
For one night, about 40 students will feel what it's like not to have a bed to sleep in or food to eat. The event is held to bring awareness about the homeless.
The third annual event was held at the Cambridge City Hall March 4th. The students could stay along the side of the road holding signs reminding us that the homeless live among them. The students slept in tents in the city courtyard and they were also fasting. Monsignor Doyle, Catholic Secondary School's chaplain, Mariana Worth, tells us more about this experience.
So this is really that lived experience that they can have in solidarity with teens that are on the streets or couch hopping or suffering through addictions and finding themselves ending up in shelters.
After a night on the streets and 24 hours fasting, the students are breaking their fast, taking breakfast with the homeless.
After having breakfast, student Ryan Hennifer talks about his one-night experience on the streets.
I wouldn't want to be living in those type of conditions, so I'm very lucky.
For Spoke TV, I'm Amari Nicolau.
April is Autism Month, and April 2nd was Autism Awareness Day. A new campaign called Light It Up Blue is gaining momentum. Alicia Van Mayen has been out and about and has more details about the campaign around the region.
Autism spectrum disorder affects 1 in 68 children. Happy, fun-loving 4-year-old Tristan is the 1 in 68. His parents, Louie and Diane Martins, knew from 15 months old that Tristan wasn't like most babies.
Well, we knew before the age of 2 he was something wasn't
issues.
right, and then once he kind of gave ourselves a timeline when he turned 2 that we would get him checked out if things didn't progress.
One of the hardest parts of parenting a child with autism is that not many people understand it.
A lot of people are still really judgmental when you take your child out in public, and I think that not enough people know about really what autism is, what it means for families, how it affects the child, how their reaction to our children can affect our child. So I think it's great that there's a whole month dedicated to talking about it because not enough people are aware.
Many schools and organizations are trying to do just that.
This year, Conestoga College is participating in Light It Up Blue.
The initiative to light buildings up blue was started by the organization Autism Speaks to create awareness for autism. Accessibility Services Counselor Kelly Lorilla says the students wanted to participate this year.
So these students were very open about having autism or Asperger's, and they wanted other people, other students to know who they are, and they're getting their way through their education.
For Spoke TV, I'm Alicia Van Mayen.
It's a popular time of year to get a new pet, but with so many options on the table, which is the right one for you? Brittany Mifsud gives us the details of adopting a puppy versus buying one from a breeder.
When first living on your own, buying a new house, or starting a family, buying a new puppy seems like a great idea. But just how much planning should go into taking home a brand new boy or girl? Cost is one of the main, very overlooked issues when it comes to getting a canine family member. The initial cost of buying the puppy is the largest outright expense and can range from $50 to $2,500. After that, food and toys, veterinary bills, beds, collars, leashes, grooming, medication, and pet sitters are all necessary costs. In the first year alone, you are looking to invest between $1,100 and $5,000, and that's if there's no emergency veterinary care needed. Before getting a puppy, a lot of research should be done. Choosing between rescuing a dog or purchasing from a breeder is one of the main decisions. Taylor Dowdy recently purchased her 8-week-old puppy Abby from a breeder and explains what kind of research she conducted before bringing Abby home.
I wanted a bulldog for 2 years, and so I babysat one for 2 weekends. And then I researched I probably put 24 hours total research into it.
Adopting a dog from a rescue seems like the more charitable option, and has the added benefit of avoiding the puppy stage, which is a lot of hard work, and, according to Dowdy, a lot like having a baby to take care of. The types of things Dowdy researched include
like if a bulldog was right for me with my lifestyle type, their sicknesses, because apparently they can get sick a lot easier than other dogs, the cost, because they're a lot more expensive.
Rescuing a dog from a humane society or a designated dog rescue can save them from a life of neglect and can give them a chance to start new. But not all experiences with dog rescues are pleasant. This is Julie Van Bergen and Manny Bopari's second time rescuing a dog, and this time with Frank, they have run into a lot of complications.
There's just chaos at this house, so I think they just wanted him out.
And even Kathy, the lady that ran the rescue, is awful, and I'm still waiting on his paperwork and don't have his rabies tags or his microchip tag, and I don't honestly know anything if he's been vetted.
Van Bergen and Bopari's previous dog was adopted from a dog rescue as well, and the experience went very smoothly.
And they were really good. Even when I picked him up, she gave me all of his paperwork, his tags, and everything.
Both rescues they experienced came to their homes to scout out if they had the right place for their rescue dogs to live, but the visits were short. According to Tracy Coolidge, who breeds Wheaton Terriers from her home in Oakville, Ontario, whether you're adopting or buying from a breeder, it's all about research.
You have to make sure that a breeder does all the health tests, examples, hips, blood work, eyes. Another valid one would be, you have to get the history of the male and the female that are used.
She has a screening process to make sure her puppies do not end up in a shelter.
As far as picking a puppy, I generally don't let them even start picking one until they're about 6 weeks old, because I try to match the puppy to the family. That if there's a more active puppy, I obviously want that to go with people that have kids. If there's a little bit more of a timid puppy, I try to match that with an elderly couple or a retired couple. So I usually, the puppy personality doesn't come out until pretty much close to 8 weeks, and a breeder should be keeping puppies till they're at least 8 weeks old.
No matter what means you decide to use to get your new puppy, both breeders and new dog owners recommend that you put in a lot of research and make sure you are ready for a 15-year-long commitment. For Spoke TV, I'm Brittany Mifsud.
After the break, we take a look at how students can gain summer employment by starting their own business.
Colorado and Washington legalized the recreational use of cannabis following the 2012 elections. This newest growing industry is bringing in a lot of money, but banks won't accept it. The solution is the newest virtual currency to rise to prominence since Bitcoin became a well-known brand. Potcoins are held by medical marijuana dispensaries, weed growers, Colorado coffee houses, and other potrepreneurs looking to stash away some cash. Most banks don't accept proceeds from marijuana sales out of fear of breaking U.S. federal laws. So, weed businesses that are legal under state laws often accumulate piles of money that attract thieves and sometimes violence. Like with Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, and a host of other cryptocurrencies, Potcoin buyers are left with no choice but to put their cash in cyberspace.
If you are or know of a student who might want to run their own business as early as this summer, there's some help available. Kristen Van Eck looks into a government-funded program that assists with startup.
Many young adults dream of one day owning their own business. Among those is Alicia McDonald. McDonald started a summer cupcake business with assistance from the Government of Ontario.
I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to be working, but I was having trouble finding a job. Saw a summer company, figured it didn't hurt to try, and I like to bake, so it kind of made sense for me.
Small business advisor Rob Clement tells us who is eligible to apply to start a summer company.
Students first and foremost, age 15 to 29, as of April 1st of the year in which they're applying. They have to be currently in a recognized educational facility, or in the case of high school students, they can be homeschooled. And they have to be going to a recognized educational facility in September.
Clement says programs such as this prove to be very beneficial for students.
The government provides up to $1,500 in funding for the business itself to start, and an additional $1,500 for the students' personal use at the end of the program.
As for McDonald, she's still continuing to make cupcakes on the side and says that the experience was worthwhile.
If you enjoy doing it, you'll have a lot of fun. Just be prepared for all the work that you're going to have to do. The experience itself was, I wouldn't give it up for anything.
If you are thinking of applying to run a summer company of your own, the deadline is fast approaching. The last day to apply is May 23rd. For Spoke TV, I'm Kristen Vanek.
In the ever-changing and accepting world we live in, some fairly old-world stereotypes still exist when it comes to issues of gender and what is acceptable behavior for boys and girls. Cale Walters explores these recent developments.
Kids learn the most about gender stereotypes and identity from their parents according to research. An article from the University of Akron shows that parents even have different expectations of the child soon after birth, depending on the gender. Right from the start, kids are exposed to gender stereotypes through color-coded clothing, toys, and even the candies they buy. Some common stereotypes in North American society are that boys wear blue and play sports, and that girls wear pink and are obsessed with makeup. While there is some truth in these ideas, they aren't completely on point. Rachel McKenzie says that while she was growing up, she didn't care what the stereotypes were.
My mom, she really wanted us just to be able to explore our own selves and express ourselves in whichever way we could.
Recently in the USA, a little boy was banned from wearing a My Little Pony backpack to school out of fear of gender-based bullying. According to Conestoga College counselor Marshall Chanda, it's the parents who present the biggest challenge to a child's free expression.
I think, if anything, the confusion comes into when parents and other persons in that world create such pressure and such challenge to that child for expressing themselves, who then experiences questions about what's right, am I normal, so I think accepting.
For Spoke TV, I'm Cale Walters.
An Ontario youth might just be the next baseball phenom. Find out more after the break. In addition to Koi Fest, a new music festival is coming to Kitchener-Waterloo. This one is bringing big names and can be a big boost for local economy. Adam Rochon brings us the sweet emotion of the story.
Legendary rock band Aerosmith and Grammy Award-winning singer and songwriter Bryan Adams are coming to Kitchener. The regional board has approved the Big Music Fest that will roll into town from July 11th to the 13th. The first day of the festival will be free to the public and will feature Breaking Bands, a province-wide band talent competition that has already attracted over 200 potential contenders. Manager of special events for the City of Kitchener, Jeff Young, discusses the possible impact this concert could bring to the community.
It's going to be a great event for the community, for the city especially, and the region. It really puts Kitchener on the map. On the international map for the music scene, and just continues to build on the music scene we've built over the years with the Koi Music Festival, Blues Festival, the Jazz Festival, etc.
The concert will take place right here at McLennan Park, which is one of the biggest venues in Waterloo region.
It was underutilized, hasn't been used for a whole lot of events. This is something where we can pilot it to see if we can use it for other uses throughout the year for different events.
Frequent park goer and local resident Jake Ray comments on the festivities, which will be placed smack dab in the middle of his strolling route.
Absolutely. I'm excited for the local bands portion, the free day where we get to see all the local talent showcase their stuff. Obviously also excited about Aerosmith being the final event there on Sunday.
Tickets are available online at bigmusicfest.com. For Spoke TV, I'm Adam Rochon.
A Mississauga athlete is hitting home runs through the baseball world. Rob Hoff caught up with Malik Collymore during his training in his hometown. He has the details on why odds are in Collymore's favor to make it big in the majors.
Most children born in Canada grow up dreaming of becoming a professional hockey player. But for one Canadian, he's been destined to play baseball his entire life. And at the tender age of 18 years old, he's already been drafted to the major leagues. Malik Collymore of Mississauga, Ontario, grew up playing baseball for the Mississauga Majors Baseball Association. It was in this association that his undeniable skills would become recognized. Old teammate Lauren Hancock reflects on his times spent with Collymore playing baseball.
I've known him since I was probably about 9 or 10. I used to train with his dad at the baseball zone a lot of the times. I would just go there and meet up with Malik and then hit balls with him, and his dad always let me in sessions when I wasn't even on the team.
By the time Collymore had turned 15, he was approached and offered a spot on the Ontario Blue Jays team, a team compiled of the most elite baseball players in Ontario under the age of 18. Ontario Blue Jays head coach Sean Trevors comments on his first encounter with Malik Collymore.
Real athletic. He'd had some arm injuries earlier that summer that didn't let him play as much shortstop as he'd been used to. So I got to see him play second base, and he played hard and just looked like he was going to be a good player.
In 2012, Collymore was asked to represent his home on a national scale and play for the Canadian junior baseball team. Without a doubt, Collymore committed to the team and explains how much of an honor it was to represent his home country.
Team Canada actually gave me a lot of exposure just getting drafted in itself. We had so many scouts at all our games because it's the best players in all of the country just in one concentrated place. So that was great, and then being able to play in the World Championships in Taiwan was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. I really wish that we could have done better in the tournament, but it was a great experience, and I hope to do it again.
2013 would be without a doubt one of the most important years for the baseball superstar, as this was the year Collymore was drafted to the MLB. In the 10th round of the 2013 Major League Baseball draft, the St. Louis Cardinals selected shortstop Malik Collymore to be a part of their organization. Collymore shares what that special day was like.
I just felt like all this finally paid off. All the sacrifices paid off. So sacrifices paying off, and just feeling of accomplishment.
In the offseason, Malik returns back to Mississauga and continues to train at the Ontario Blue Jays clubhouse, where he can work on his batting and shortstop game. His father, who is also an assistant coach for the Ontario Blue Jays, frequently inhabits the clubhouse with Malik to assist with his training and offer mental support.
Seeing the ups and downs, it's tough. It's tough seeing your kid fail, but especially, in baseball, it's a game of failure, so it's tough seeing that, but, it builds character, and the greatest thing about it is seeing how he's learned from it and the resiliency and the toughness that he's developed.
It truly has been a dream come true for this baseball prodigy, and it's taken very little time.
Honestly, I never even imagined this being a possibility until I was about 16. As far as baseball went, I was only really focusing on maybe getting a scholarship, getting to enjoy a school experience, but playing pro ball really didn't become a real thing to me until I joined the Ontario Blue Jays when I was 15.
Outstanding, man, outstanding. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. I always say that, and he believes it too.
For Spoke TV, I'm Robert Hoff.
That's all we have for you this week. For Spoke TV from Conestoga College, I'm Steve Spar.
And I'm Candace Cobbing. For more news and information, visit spoketv.ca.